A wilder.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Sri Lanka holds snap parliamentary election barely 7 weeks after choosing a new president. Initial results expected on Friday. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi meets IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi in Tehran, says Iran will continue their full cooperation with the IAEA. Commonwealth of Dominica to bestow its highest national honour, the Dominica Award of Honour, upon India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. News in detail now. Voting for parliamentary elections concludes in Sri Lanka. The final result is likely to be announced on Friday, according to the poll body. The ballot boxes will be shifted to the counting centres on Thursday evening, where vote counting will commence. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, SJB leader Sajid Premadasa cast their votes earlier this morning. Voters exercised their right to vote at over 13,400 polling centres from 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. While voter turnout was reported to be around 50% at 2 p.m., the final tally is yet to be announced by the Election Commission. The elections are important as they are expected to completely redefine the political landscape of the island nation. Now, Iran has said that it will never negotiate under pressure and intimidation. It was stated by Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi during his meeting between an International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi in Tehran on Thursday. Grossi has for months sought progress with Iran on issues including a push for more monitoring cooperation at nuclear sites and an explanation of uranium traces found at undeclared sites. But little has come from Grossi's efforts, and with the return of President-elect Donald Trump, who is widely expected to restore a maximum pressure policy on Iran, Grossi's trip should provide indications of how Iran wants to proceed in the coming months. While Araghchi said that Iran will continue the full cooperation with the IAEA. Israeli forces have launched fresh strikes across southern and central Lebanon again, carrying out at least 4 airstrikes on Wednesday. Israeli airstrikes pounded the Hezbollah-controlled southern suburbs for a second consecutive day as Lebanon waited to hear Washington's latest ceasefire proposals after U.S. officials expressed hope a truce could be reached. The Israeli military said its air force had destroyed 9 Hezbollah weapons storage facilities and command centers in strikes in the Beirut area, and that Hezbollah fired 40 projectiles into Israel. The exchange of fire came as right-leaning members of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet expressed support for President-elect Donald Trump's latest picks for his incoming administration. An outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden and President-elect Trump met for a traditional transition meeting on Wednesday at the White House. The meeting lasted for almost 2 hours. DD India's Antara Sinha gets you more on how it unfolded.
A much-anticipated meeting between US President-elect Donald Trump and current incumbent Joe Biden. Trump was warmly greeted by outgoing President Joe Biden as they shook hands in the Oval Office. The meeting was part of a traditional transition meeting. That didn't happen in 2020. In a way, Biden was seen restoring a tradition that Trump broke when he refused to recognize his 2020 defeat against Biden. The meeting comes after a confrontational election campaign in which Biden dropped out following his disastrous debate performance against Trump.
Well, Mr. President-elect and former President,
thank you very
Donald,
much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And looking forward to having a, like we said, smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So
Good.
welcome.
Thank you
Welcome
very
back.
much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Joe.
You're welcome.
The pair also discussed the Ukraine and West Asia conflicts. Biden argued support for Ukraine was good for US national security, as a strong and stable Europe would keep America from being dragged into war. While Trump has pledged to end the Russia-Ukraine war quickly. The two American leaders sat side by side before a roaring fire in the White House Oval Office, a peaceful scene that belied tensions between them. Antara Sinha for DD India.
And US President-elect Donald Trump on Wednesday nominated former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard as his incoming Director of National Intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard has questioned the credibility of US intelligence and denounced successive presidents over military interventions. Now she has been asked to serve by Trump and lead US intelligence as more.
She is a leading Hindu figure in US politics. Her father, born in American Samoa, continues to serve in the Hawaii State Senate and remains a Democrat. Gabbard's mother embraced Hinduism and raised her children in the tradition. Gabbard's first name, Tulsi, is a sacred plant in Hinduism. She is a lifelong vegetarian and swore her oath to enter Congress on the Bhagavad Gita. Gabbard got married cinematographer Abraham Williams. She is an ardent supporter of India's popular Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Like few others in US politics, Gabbard defies simple party categorization, a war veteran who denounces war, a Democrat turned Republican, and now an establishment skeptic sent to head part of it. Gabbard has direct experience with war, having served in Iraq with the Army National Guard of her native Hawaii. In 2022, she announced that she was exiting the Democratic Party. Her strident tone led critics to believe she was auditioning for roles in a future Republican administration. This view was reinforced when she appeared beside Trump in his latest campaign and announced she was becoming a Republican.
A new climate finance goal emerged on the third day of the UN climate talks in Azerbaijan's Baku on Wednesday, which said that developing countries outside China need at least $1 trillion per year by the end of the decade to move to greener energy and protect against extreme weather. The issue of climate finance remains at the forefront of COP29. The previous goal of $100 billion annually, set in 2009 and intended to be met by 2020, was only reached in 2022. Primarily through loans rather than grants, which many recipient nations argue needs revisiting. Despite behind-the-scenes negotiations, draft texts released by United Nations climate body reflect a wide range of views, suggesting challenging negotiations ahead. Wealthy nations have shown reluctance to commit additional funding unless major economies like China agree to contribute. A report released by the independent high-level expert group on climate finance at the summit start advised that an annual target of $1.3 trillion would be necessary by 2035 to stay on track with climate goals, with greater investment required sooner to avoid significantly higher costs later.
So what kind of numbers for the investment? Well, that number for emerging markets and developing economies outside China is 2.4 trillion a year in 2030. Of course, the whole path matters. But in order not to get sort of lost in too many numbers, we focus on 2030 and we point and highlight the number 2.4 trillion as the overall investment needs.
Lebanon's Ministry of Health launched on Thursday a national vaccination campaign against polio, measles and other diseases in cooperation with UNICEF, the World Health Organization and local partners. Caretaker Health Minister Firaz Abiad said the campaign was part of the ministry's plan to control any epidemics in Lebanon. UNICEF representative in Lebanon, Edouard Beigbeder, stressed the urgency of the campaign, noting that nearly 45% of the children in the country have not received full immunization.
Today, the children get immunized against polio, against measles. As you know, 45% of the children in the country do not receive all the vaccination, and it's important to avoid an emergency within the emergency by having an outbreak.
Now, US, Japanese and South Korean naval forces held joint exercises in East Asian waters on Thursday, the most complex and final joint drills before President Joe Biden hands over one of his signature national security initiatives to Donald Trump. Visiting the USS George Washington carrier, US Ambassador to Japan Rahm Emanuel said that the three-way pact and the resulting military cooperation sent a strong message to Beijing. For Seoul, said South Korean Rear Admiral Har Swang-jae, who commanded his country's forces, the exercise, which came after North Korea last month tested what it claims was an upgraded intercontinental ballistic missile, sent a message to its belligerent neighbor.
If you look at the region and you want to project deterrence, you want to ensure the security of America's interests, it's better to have allies, because remember, in this area and region, we have a lot of allies and China does not. So this is a multi-dimensional, multi-year exercise that all three countries, not three leaders, committed to. It was not tied to the tenure of any one leader of a country. It was tied to a strategic objective of all three nations of projecting deterrence.
Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. A new home test for the HPV virus aims to reduce cervical cancer cases in Norway, where 300 women are diagnosed each year. Up to 90 women die annually from the disease. The test can be done privately at home or with assistance at a doctor's office. The Norwegian Cancer Registry estimates that 200,000 women have not been tested in over a decade, hoping home tests will encourage more screenings and save lives. The 7th Colombian Emerald Auction in Bogota offers 170,000 carats of gems. From the Cosquez region. Thousands of people attended the event organized by Fura Gems, with a second part set for Bangkok from November 21st to 25. This follows the sale of a rare 37-carat emerald in Geneva for nearly $9 million, setting a new price record. The Cairo International Film Festival opened its 45th edition, showcasing Palestinian cinema and culture. Held at the Cairo Opera House, the festival highlights stories from Palestinian filmmakers. This year's focus aims to bring attention to Palestinian heritage and issues. The festival draws international guests to engage with diverse films from around the world. We're sipping into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Asia Pacific leaders arrived in Peru for APEC summit in Lima. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar attends inauguration of the Symbiosis campus in Dubai. And 43rd India International Trade Fair begins in New Delhi.
Goa, a wild nature paradise, where over a third of the state remains wild today, and every corner is full of surprises. Goa's forests evolved through the seasons. Insects and crocodiles flourish in the monsoon, butterflies in the months after the rains subside, and in the winter, the jungle transforms into a haven for birds. Oh, there's a female right next to him. Oh my God, is that 8 otters? That's one of my favorite things about these forests. There are still so many secrets out there. Watch postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Leaders arrived in Peru to attend the 31st Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, or APEC. The summit is taking place amid a national strike called by union workers and transport drivers. Leaders are expected to meet between November 14 and 17. The formal agenda at the forum hosted by resource-rich Peru includes efforts to finance the energy transition, regulate emerging technologies, formalize economies and improve maritime logistics. President Joe Biden is also heading to South America on Thursday for a curtain call with global leaders. After over 50 years in US politics, Biden will hold private meetings with Chinese President Xi Jinping and the heads of Japan, South Korea and Brazil during the summits of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation. And the Commonwealth of Dominica is set to acknowledge India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi with its most prestigious national accolade, the Dominica Award of Honour. This recognition is an acknowledgement of Prime Minister Modi's significant contributions to Dominica during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as his efforts to enhance the bilateral relationship between India and Dominica. The award ceremony will occur at the India CARICOM Summit, which is scheduled for November 19th to 21st in Georgetown, Guyana, with the President of Dominica, Sylvanie Burton, presiding over the event. In February 2021, the Indian government under Prime Minister Modi's leadership provided Dominica with 70,000 doses of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. And the award acknowledges India's broader support for Dominica in areas such as education and information technology. Additionally, it highlights India's role in promoting initiatives focused on climate resilience and sustainable development on a global scale. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a social media post on X, shared a video of Hindi lovers of Nigeria being enthused by PM's upcoming visit to that country.
नगमे खुशियां बिखर रही है, दबे पाँव से कुछ कह रही है, आज के दिन कुछ खास है, खुदारे हमारे यहाँ एक खास मेहमान है, खुशियों के साथ उनका स्वागत करते हैं और ये हमारा सौभाग्य है। भारत के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नाइजीरिया के आने पर हम आपका हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं एवं अभिनंदन करते हैं। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री मोदी जी भारत में तो एक लोकप्रिय हैं, आप विश्व के सर्वश्रेष्ठ नेताओं में से एक हैं। ये हमारे लिए अत्यंत गर्व और खुशी का क्षण है। आपका यहाँ होना हमारे लिए गर्व और सम्मान की बात है। हम सभी बहुत खुशी के साथ अपने देश नाइजीरिया में बाहें फैलाकर आपका स्वागत करते हैं एवं अभिनंदन करते हैं। हमें उम्मीद है कि आपकी यात्रा से भारत और नाइजीरिया के बीच में अर्थव्यवस्था और रिश्ते मजबूत होंगे। हम दोस्तों की तरफ से आपका सुस्वागतम करते हैं एवं अभिनंदन करते हैं।
हम खुशी से आपका बहुत स्वागत करते हैं।
जय नाइजीरिया, जय हिंद।
Social media post on X said, and I quote, "The way Hindi lovers in Nigeria have shown enthusiasm for my visit there is heart-touching. I'm very excited about this trip." And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar presided over the inauguration of Symbiosis International University's first overseas campus at Dubai Knowledge Park. Along with Dr. Jaishankar, UAE's Minister of Tolerance and Coexistence Sheikh Nahyan bin Mubarak Al Nahyan also attended the event. The ceremony marks a significant milestone in India-UAE relations. The campus aims to offer comprehensive programs in management, technology and media, focusing on developing 21st century skills while promoting collaboration aligned with the philosophy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, meaning the world is one family. Speaking on the occasion, the External Affairs Minister emphasized that this inauguration transcends mere institutional expansion, representing a significant milestone in India's educational outreach as envisioned in the National Education Policy 2020. And the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, interacted with the students from different schools on the occasion of Children's Day on 14th November 2024 at Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Centre. The President of India, calling the children the future of India, said that it is the youth and the children who will realize the dream of a developed India possible by 2047.
बच्चे देश के भविष्य होते हैं। बच्चों को इंटरनली एक्सटर्नली सजाना संवारना टीचर्स का, पेरेंट्स का, देश का प्रत्येक नागरिकों का दायित्व होता है। इसीलिए आज के दिन सबके लिए, केवल बच्चों के लिए नहीं, सबके लिए, देशवासी के लिए भी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण दिन है। ये केवल बाल दिवस हम केवल एक दिन मनाते हैं। मुझे लगता है बाल दिन सभी 365 दिन बाल बच्चों का होना चाहिए।
And campaigning is in full swing for assembly elections in Maharashtra. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed multiple rallies in Maharashtra with less than a week to the assembly polls in the state. PM attended a public gathering in Raigarh's district Panvel and another in Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar city of Maharashtra. Speaking at the rally, PM slammed the Congress for believing in division and not development. Prime Minister will also attend a public rally in Mumbai. Maharashtra will vote in a single phase on November 20th, with counting of votes scheduled to take place on November 23rd. There are 288 assembly seats in the state.
कांग्रेस सोच रही है कि ओबीसी जातियों में बटेगा तो उसकी ताकत कम हो जाएगी, और जब समाज की ताकत कम हो जाएगी तो कांग्रेस को बैठे बैठे ही फायदा मिल जाएगा। यही से कांग्रेस के लिए सत्ता में वापसी क्या मौके की तलाश चल रही है, और जैसे ही कांग्रेस को सरकार में आने का मौका मिला तो वो एससी, एसटी, ओबीसी का आरक्षण रोक देंगे। इसलिए एससी, एसटी, ओबीसी को इन साजिशों का शिकार नहीं होना है। और इसलिए भाइयों बहनों, हमें जागरूक रह करके एकता को बल देना है, एकता की ताकत को बढ़ाना है, एकता के मंत्र को जीना है। और इसलिए हमें याद रखना है, हम एक हैं तो सेफ है।
Meanwhile, after his event in Panvel, Prime Minister received a special welcome by the ISKCON volunteers. In eastern state of Jharkhand, political campaigning is gaining momentum as the state prepares for the second phase of assembly elections. India's Home Minister Amit Shah held public rallies in Girdhe and Bokaro. During the rallies, Home Minister attacked the JMM-led state government and Congress party for looting people of the state. He claimed that the BJP is confident of forming the government in Jharkhand. The second phase of the polling is set for 20th of this month, with votes to be counted on November 23rd. And India's cumulative exports from April to October 2024 reached $468.27 billion, marking a 7.28% growth over the same period in 2023. Merchandise exports in October 2024 were valued at $39.20 billion, up 17.23% from October 2023. Total merchandise exports from April to October stood at $252.28 billion, showing a growth of 3.18%. Non-petroleum exports for October rose significantly by 25.63% to $34.61 billion. Cumulative non-petroleum exports hit $211.34 billion with a 7.34% increase. Non-petroleum, non-gems and jewelry exports in October jumped 27.68%. And Dr. V.K. Paul, member Niti Aayog, inaugurated Ministry of Health and Family Welfare's Health Pavilion at the 43rd IITF at Bharat Mandapam today. During his address, he said that the vision of Prime Minister towards Viksit Bharat also involves attaining the vision of Niramay Bharat.
हम दर्शाते हैं कि जो मच्छर से होने वाली बीमारियां हैं उसको कैसे बचा जाए, ये भी दर्शाया हमने कि एनीमिया, खून की कमी होना कितनी खराब एक स्थिति है, पता भी नहीं चलता है, उसके बारे में जागरूकता है, परिवार नियोजन के बारे में जागरूकता है, मेंटल हेल्थ के बारे में, ओरल हेल्थ के बारे में, इन सब बातों को यहाँ दर्शाने की कोशिश की गई है.
Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.